I fucked up somewhere, like along the way. Something that I did either triggered someone, like why did this happen? Dude, don't fucking do what I did. I work in an industry where like everybody has an ego. I deal with so many people on the other side of the transaction that I'm like, how do these people even get this client? Like this must be a terrible experience for these people on the other side of the deal. So I think it's selfish of me to not want to build this business. So what I needed to do was say, okay, well, where are my weaknesses right now? Like I'm a great salesperson not because I'm like super salesy, but because I truly do care about understanding people's needs and wants and what their end goals are, and understanding how do I build a relationship with you to get there. Like that I can teach people. And so what I realized my biggest weaknesses are
problems are what? Problems are profits!
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and we've got another best of from the Problems and Profits podcast, and today it's with Emma Pace. And so we're going to really dive into Emma's backstory. You guys have probably seen Emma as a sponsor here on the YouTube channel talking about Toronto real estate market, in particular Toronto condos. But in today's video, we're going to discuss how Emma went from DJ to enterprise rent-a-car to becoming a realtor that's absolutely crushing it in the GTA. Fascinating story. Hope you guys enjoy it, and let's jump into it.
And so, Emma, I'm, relatively familiar with your background, but for people that are new to the podcast, new to your story, you're crushing it as a Toronto real estate agent, but it wasn't really a clear A to B path. It's not like, or at least to the best of my knowledge, you didn't grow up dreaming of being a realtor.
No, not at all. I think I didn't really have a clear set path at any point in time in my life. I was always someone who was trying to think outside the box to make income. I never wanted to really, wanted to work for somebody else. I was always trying to be a little bit more strategic and creative in terms of how I could accomplish things or get things done. But I started DJing, which was, brings me kind of to one of those streams. And that was kind of a, fun sort of passion project that turned into something that was a paying gig that brought me to Toronto. And then I was working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car at the time. It was taking up too much of my time. So I decided to get my real estate license to provide me a little bit more freedom and space in the DJ world. And then, this is my passion project now, and it's something that's kind of stuck with me, which is fantastic. So it all kind of came full circle. And I think, at the end of the day, it's not, do I want to be a real estate agent? Do I want to be a realtor? No, I think at the beginning it was great for the money, but my real focus is like, I don't want to be a salesperson. I want to be a business owner. And so this has been just one of the stepping stones to allow me to become who I'm going to be in the future. And it's like, I don't want to be a real estate agent forever. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The income is great, and it's taught me a lot, and I've been through a lot of ups and downs as a result of it. So I'm very thankful for it, but it's definitely not my end goal, I don't think.
Gotcha. And so, I think my audience, or the audience behind Problems or Profits, is generally young, ambitious, hungry. When do you decide it's the right time to pivot? When did you decide was the right time to pivot and move from London to Toronto? And when did you, how did you know it was the right time to really pivot and make that hard decision? Because I think that's a hard decision to decide to kind of pause something you're passionate about to then go chase after something that's going to be far more profitable.
Yeah, honestly, man, I think just you have to take a leap of faith at some point in time. You have to. One thing that I've learned now, and I feel like I just turned 30 this year, right? And I feel that from 25 to 30, I really have become a very different person. And based on what you just said, I think a lot of the viewers of this particular podcast are probably going to be 20 to kind of 40. I feel like the 25 to 30 age gap for me really taught me a lot about myself, and I just kind of needed to assess I've made several, don't get me wrong, I've made some bad decisions in my life, but the bulk of the decisions that I've made leading me up to this point have been great decisions. I have to trust my gut, and I have to trust that I'm going to take a leap of faith. This is on me. This is not on anybody else. So is this a risk for me to move from London to Toronto? Dude, I was shitting my pants when I moved. I was like, how am I going to afford $900 a month in rent? It's impossible. Toronto is ridiculously expensive. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any financial sense. I can stay with my parents and save money and all this kind of stuff. But what is that getting me? I'm not happy this is really what I want to do. I have to take this leap of faith. I need to make this happen for myself. And that was the same thing when I left enterprise to do the real estate thing. Like, I had no connections. I didn't know one person who had enough money to buy a house in Toronto, that's for sure. But what I knew is that I did not take the first leap of faith to move from London to go to Toronto to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I did it because I wanted more time to myself to do DJing. That was my passion project. It would be wrong of me to not take the next leap of faith. Otherwise, I just came to Toronto for no reason, right? So, and I understand, I'm comfortable with the decision that I made, and I need to trust myself to make the next decision. Over the course of my life, the majority of the decisions that I have made have led me to where I am, and I feel like I'm in a good spot. I got to continue with that role, understand my risk versus rewards, and you have to trust your gut, take that leap of faith, and then work your ass off to make sure that it's been worth it to take that chance.
And how long does it take you to actually make the leap of faith? Like, do you take into consideration this decision for days, weeks, months, years? Like, how long were you sitting on the fence before you jumped? Do you make a pro and cons list? Like, how do you decide when's the right time? Awesome. So Emma, I'd love to hear, like, what's a current problem or obstacle that you're currently encountering in your business that maybe you haven't quite turned into a profit yet, or you're in the process of trying to transform into a profit or a real opportunity?
Yeah, I think I feel like everything is starting to come to a head now. I feel like what's happened to me over the last 6 months is I've spent a lot of time and money investing into my team. And I think like over the last 3 months, I was kind of like, when are the results going to come? You know what I mean? Like, we're human beings, so it's like we want that instantaneous gratification. Like when I order shit on Amazon now, it's like if it doesn't come within 24 hours, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Right? So as human beings, we want to like put in a bit of effort and see results immediately. I think that is my biggest challenge mentally, is just you have to get around that in business. Like, if we're going to be in this for the long term, like, you're going to see all these guys on YouTube or whatever it is where they're like, make $1 million in like 10 days. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Like, if you plant seeds, sure, some people get lucky and whatever, and I'm sure there's good opportunities out there, but you do have to plant seeds and you have to work on yourself. And for me, the biggest challenge to get a return is just investing time and energy and understanding that, with hiring my phone guy or paying for leads or whatever, you're not going to get an immediate return. Sometimes it's going to take 3 or 4 months to really see the fruits of your labor. And I'm starting to see that now. And it's been, 4 to 6 months since I kind of started that journey. So I think that was a challenge, but I feel like that's something that I'm starting to get over. But it's not as much of a challenge as it is really like a mindset shift, I think.
And so, like, any tips, or like, how do you get patience? Like, how do you buy patience for yourself?
I wasn't quick to make a decision on the person that I hired in this role. I was very slow to make that decision because I wanted to find the right person. And I understand that we're putting in the work and he's doing the work every day, and I'm auditing his work, and I know that like everything we're doing the right actions. Like, I understand that. It's not like we're lazy. It's not like I'm not training him or anything like that. So you just have to trust in, I am putting in the work, and I know that the results will come. And I know that from my previous decisions and when I started in real estate. I had to hustle my ass off with like no results for the first little bit, right? And I know that if I continue to do the right actions every single day, at some point in time, I'm going to look back and be like, I can't believe I was nervous for like 3 months. Like, and I'm going to say, I can't believe I did business without having these guys on my team before.
Mm-hmm. So
right?
Like a big part of it is like,
all of this stuff, I look back and I say, yeah, there was one shitty thing that happened. And of course, that shitty thing is going to take over all the other emotions. But when I look at the big picture of what it was, there's so many different takeaways and shit that I learned from this that it would be selfish of me again not to move on, because now I can teach you guys about this and other people. Like, dude, don't fucking do what I did. Like, You know what I mean? If I just exit and I just kind of like turtle and I leave, nobody else gets to learn anything except for me just being a little bit of a baby because I made a bad decision.
Whew, getting chills, Emma. No, that was so sick. Like the way that you've actually broken that down is so incredible for the audience here, because like you've taken this super sour situation where you had someone who was not interested in a positive outcome here, and you've just completely flipped it and taken ownership over every last bit of that interaction. So, and that's something that I really want to highlight, because that is an incredible thing to do that not everyone has the ability to, because you've actually like really broken it down in a way where you're taking ownership over the interactions. You're taking ownership over literally every single piece of that. And there's this amazing quote from Marie Forleo that I love. It's, I win or I learn. And this is one of those moments where you definitely learned, and you were able to now like just go forward so much stronger.
Yeah.
So I just want to highlight like how actually incredible that is, that you were able to have that reflection, because that level of reflection is not easy to get to. So have you always done that? Like, is that how you break down these problematic moments, or when did you actually learn to do that?
I think that, so no, I used to like, I don't want to say I have a bad temper, but I have a short fuse, we'll say, right? I feel like when something happens to me, I'll get like my emotions take over, right? And I think it's one of these things where like, I believe it was like I watched the Drake video, and he was saying like, his mom always told him, if something happens to you and you're pissed off, you got to wait 3 days before you respond to it. And my dad has always kind of told me the same thing, like, just take a walk and like cool off, but it's easier said than done. And then I think when you start to, like, I burned myself in the past. Like you say stupid shit early, and then 2 days later, you're like, why did I say that, right? And I think that's just part of growing up. But also you have to like cognizantly think about these things with their life, and they're like, why does this bad shit keep happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? And it's like, well, let's just analyze and break down what exactly happened here, okay? Like, and it only takes 2 or 3 times for you to assess the situation to understand that, like, I fucked up somewhere, like, along the way. Something that I did either triggered someone, like, why did this happen? And as much as, like, our egos often get in the way, it's like you have to realize that.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Emma Pace, and a reminder, that's just the best of. So jump over to the Problems and Profits podcast on whatever podcasting platform you listen to. Grab it, subscribe, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and a written review. That's all we ask, and we'll be coming out with new episodes every single week.
Problems are what? Problems are